In Response, a legacy podcast, is sponsored by greatness@anycost.com. Welcome to the 6th episode of In Response,
a legacy podcast.
I'm Philipp Klein.
And I'm Daniel.
And today we are just...
Two of us.
Yeah.
We are missing our third co-host of our podcast.
Yeah, Peter is on vacation in Italy, as far as I know.
Yeah, where exactly? Did he told you?
No, he don't. I thought he told you.
No, I have no clue where.
So,
But I think he's on vacation with his girlfriend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He said he's with his better half.
And he sent us a really nice picture of some amazing Italian breakfast.
With his amazing Italian coffee.
Yeah, that's what that's what he sent us. So I think he has a pretty nice time. So I'm a little bit jealous, but that's okay.
But we can at least record our episode.
Yeah,
so
of course.
And we have to do what we have to do. And at first we are going through our listener questions.
Oh yeah.
And the first one is from Peter, actually.
He sent us a nice question at the very least. What is the question?
He asked us, how is a cast different with 2 than 3 guys? And
What would you say, Philip? What is different?
I think when we are
3 guys.
3 guys, it's a little bit easier to have the transition going. And
Because there are more people that have ideas and things to say.
Yeah, because if somebody doesn't know any further, then the other one jumps in, and so it's a little bit different. It's a little bit harder, especially if
we don't know yet, because it's basically 2 minutes from the starting of the record so far.
That's true. But we're actually trying to start the recording, I think, for about now an hour. But
I had 1 beer more than usual, so
okay.
Yeah.
Now I am at 1, like every other, like every
podcast.
Every podcast, because I have to drive, so
of course,
nothing more for me. That was the question from Peter. Mm-hmm. Peter, nice vacation.
Yeah.
At the time this
Props
episode
to Peter
airs,
and have a nice vacation.
Yeah, at the time this episode airs or is released, I think he's back again in Austria, so he won't hear this.
Oh, so we can finally talk something mean about Peter.
Yeah.
What do we have to say? Now it's the time.
Oh my God. I won't say anything now. No. Peter's a great guy.
Okay.
So
change the topic.
The next question is from Christian.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit a huge question. He also said it was a heavy question. So he asked us, how do we see the future of paper magic?
The future of paper magic. Wow. So my thoughts about this topic is that since magic is originally a paper-based product or paper-based game, that I don't think that paper magic will ever go away. I think it would be a disaster for the company, because basically that's the main product. I mean, I get that the focus of many different games, if we look at Magic Arena, of course, and there are lots of different other card games that are online based. The trend is basically here that you shift your focus more and more towards online based gaming. But I think the main product of Magic is still paper-based. What I think is a good example or comparison to this, I think many people have a fear that paper magic will go away and it will maybe be replaced by, let's say, Magic Arena
or Magic Online, yeah.
Yeah, for example. I don't think this is the case, or I don't think that is necessarily the case, because if you think about general gaming, in the last couple of years we had a huge upswing of, let's say, pen and paper based role-play games, and this is not a trend that you would expect or would assume, let's say, 5 or 10 years ago. I think maybe people would more see it like that role-play gaming or gaming in general would be completely online based and no social interaction at all, let's say.
I totally agree here.
Yeah.
Because I also think that the biggest draw to Magic is always, or to tabletop games in general, is always the social interaction. Between the players, and the fact that that's non-existent in online Magic or online gaming. Also the fact that there are almost no co-op games anymore, that you can play on one screen with 2 to 4 players, will keep the paper Magic or the board games or the tabletop games alive. So what I also think is in the future of Magic, that it will never go away, even if if Wizards suddenly stops printing new product or designing new sets or anything, because the cards are already here. There will always be surely it will be a minority, but there will always be people who want to play this. If it weren't so, then there wouldn't be any old school or pre-modern or I don't know which pre-war legacy.
You mean these community-driven formats?
Yeah,
that
they wouldn't exist now. So I think legacy or vintage or anything, anything paper Magic related would still exist, even if Hasbro would decide to stop producing sets or cards.
And of course, we shouldn't neglect the biggest format, let's say, that basically has no support at all, which is just casual.
Yeah, kitchen table is the biggest format.
This is the biggest environment or audience for buying Magic products still. And it basically has no Wizard support in that sense. It's just kitchen table Magic. And as you said, if we have the cards, the physical cards, and if there are some people interested in the game, then of course it will never go away. But this is also the reason why I think that Wizards should and will never stop printing new physical Magic cards.
Also,
I think this would be nonsense. And if they somehow would say now we are stopping printing Magic cards, it would be a really big shock for me. I don't think. I basically don't expect something like that.
Also, I don't think that online gaming
replaces the Magic.
Yeah.
It could be, let's say, we have one company and they originally built up from paper Magic, and now they have, let's say, a new way they can dip their toes in, but it's something that can exist in parallel, I think. So we have online gaming and we have paper Magic alike.
I've heard an interesting idea on Twitter. I'm not sure who tweeted this, but somebody had an idea to to diversify the formats. So there is an online-only format with new cards and new printings.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And paper-only formats going forward. So that they can choose to focus on the esport side and on the paper side without having to ban all the time.
That's a really nice idea. So they can, let's say, neglect the other part of Magic completely, and the problems that each part has. If they have to print one set and it has to suit arena and paper, it is a lot more restrictive, of course. So I really like the idea, actually.
It's for sure an interesting idea. So we'll see what the future will bring. And the future brings us the next question from Jonas. And that's a very old question, probably as old as
Magic existed.
Almost as old as Magic existed, and it's from about one of our favorite topics, the reserved list.
Oh, the reserved list. Okay, okay. It is then a question as old as the reserved list.
Yeah, I just don't want to put the word in.
Yeah.
So he asked us, do we think the reserved list will still be in place in 10 years? That's kind of a really, really hard question. But I think the reserved list is here to stay. It won't go away, which is very unfortunate for the growth of our beloved format. But maybe there will be a workaround from WotC at any time. We will see, but I think the reserved list is certainly here to stay.
I basically agree. I think the reserved lists... I can't imagine that Wizards will touch the reserved list at any point. But what I want to add to this is that I think Wizards is in general capable of doing some things that might be surprising or new, or they're capable of doing unexpected things. And one example would be, in my opinion, the companion rule change. I think such a change is not what I would expected back then. So
also banning Lurus in Vintage for power level reasons.
Yeah,
I mean that's the first card in Vintage banned for power level reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
So nobody expected that.
Yeah, and for that reasons, I think maybe in a few years Wizards could then maybe announce some changes to the reserved list. Maybe they will loosen up the restrictive printing rules they have on the reserved list. I don't know, or they make some workarounds on what is it called? If you functional reprints, basically, if they make some reprints that are in the environment of Legacy to a certain extent have the same power level. Yeah. Like what is a good example, like the Legendary Dual Lands or something like that?
Legendary Dual Lands have one crux because they aren't far enough from the spirit of the reserved list.
But some restrictions like that.
Yeah, my go-to answer for a workaround for the duels or from the reserved list is always just make fetchable fast lands.
Yeah, okay.
That's the easiest workaround.
But don't you think that actually fetchable fast lands would be better than legendary dual lands?
Yeah.
They would be far better, I think.
Yeah, maybe they would be better. But the drawback is big enough.
Okay. I mean, this is of course definitely not a dual land as we know it. So
yeah. So I think the easiest fix would be fetchable fast lands. I've heard that simply legendary dual lands would be too near. Too close
to
at
the original ones. Yeah.
At the spirit of the reserved list.
Okay.
Yeah. That's also the reason why snow-covered duels can't exist.
Yeah, of course, because this is basically no restriction.
Yeah.
Or there is basically effectively no drawback to this.
In my opinion, you can print legendary fetchable fastlands.
That's a good idea.
Totally fair.
Do you remember this? I don't know if it was a rumor or if it will be, let's say, a mechanic that will be printed in some future set. There was a discussion about lands that have basically two types that you can fetch, and with those two types. But as soon as they enter the battlefield, you have to choose which side they are entering the battlefield. And let's say we have a swamp and an island combined. One, let's say, flip lands, or I don't know how you would call them.
Double-sided, yeah.
Double-sided, yeah.
Why not?
So as soon as you put them into play, you decide which side they are on the battlefield. I think they should be non-basic also. Or maybe they can even be basic, I don't know. But of course, you can fetch both. So you can fetch, let's say, an island and a swamp. But as soon as they enter the battlefield, you only have the island or the swamp for the rest of the game, as long as the land remains on the battlefield. I think this would be...
it's a very interesting idea for sure.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not in the same power level as duels.
Yeah.
They are far enough from the reserved list. They could work.
And I think there's also a big drawback, even if they are basic.
It's a big drawback.
Even if they are basics, which mean they would be wasteland proof, for example. But if you think about days or other, basically days is a good example, I think. If you want to fetch a swamp or need black mana, you don't have the land to daze it back to your hand.
Okay.
Because it's not an island. It's just a swamp, for example.
So it's only both types in all zones except on the battlefield?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least that's what I had the understanding of. Or I don't even know if this is a real thing or not. And of course, those little minor differences could change things up a little bit. But I think this is a nice idea.
Yeah, I like it also. I think we would just need something between the power level of duels and shocklands.
Yeah.
To work in Legacy.
Do you think that maybe a shockland could? Yeah, maybe this is too simple. But let's say a shockland that enters the battlefield untapped if you take just 1 damage instead of 2. Let's say then, how would you call it?
Dartlands.
Dartlands.
Because of lava dart.
Maybe
I think that would need testing.
Yeah.
If it's enough of a difference, or if it's too much, like with the shockland. I mean, most legacy decks can run 1 shockland, especially if you are if you have a combo or something like Hogak. Then you can easily run 1. But a second one gets really hard.
Yeah.
And I won't recommend anyone who wants to play Legacy and doesn't want to play Death Shadow to play more than 1 shockland.
Yeah. I mean, even 1 shockland is, of course, strictly speaking of competitiveness, it's just wrong and it's not good.
Yeah, but you lose some percentage points.
Yeah,
that's
definitely,
true.
You need some...
But sometimes you have to ask yourself, are these 3 to 4 percentage points that I lose with playing a shockland worth the $200 to $300?
Yeah, of course.
Surely, if it comes to GPs, if we ever have one again, or simply some bigger tournaments MKM or something, then I would for sure play the best possible version.
Of course, yeah.
Then it makes a difference. But for Friday Night Magic play or for
also casual play
or casual play, that's what I always like about Legacy. For me, the format is Like kitchen table, but with rules.
With acceptable rules that everyone can. Yeah, it just glues everything together a little bit more. Yeah.
Without rules,
it's not all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter because one thing I know I'm striving here very far away from the question, but just want to get this thought out of me. What I most despise in kitchen table or in casual Magic is if you have a tournament for even for no buy-in, and you play with your fun deck and it's all fun and games, and then suddenly somebody comes and goes turn 1 land Soul Ring Petal Tinker Blightsteel Colossus.
Yeah.
I had this happen to me, and really that's not casual. That's not casual.
No. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you have to have some rules because otherwise there will always be one guy who will just completely
the power discrepancies are too big.
Yeah,
you need a rule set.
Yeah,
and that's what Legacy is: casual with rules.
Yeah, and Legacy is also, let's say, it has the best price to value. How do you say this?
Describe it.
Yeah, I mean, you get the most for what you pay, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a
you also get the most fun out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. Of course, it is a high pay-in, but it is the biggest pool and of cards. I mean, Vintage has a little bit more cards, but they're so vastly expensive that and their player base is basically non-existent, unfortunately.
And Vintage also has the problem, what I don't like, it's like with Commander or EDH, that there are so many restricted cards, and one-offs, and then it's, you drew your one-off and you win. That's for me, that's also not really fun or skill intensive. To simply top deck your one-off.
Yeah, that is basically the best card.
Yeah, that's what I don't like in Vintage and also not in Commander. So Legacy is always will be forever my go-to format.
Yeah, it's quite nice. Also for the reason that what I think is also great about Legacy is, of course, the fact that doesn't change that often, in the sense that we don't have bannings all that much. I know bannings are kind of exciting because we have new metas then, and if we have a format where we have a clearly best deck like we had now in the Death Threat Shaman era, I don't know,
Top Miracles.
I know this is some people get frustrated, but this is still a format you can buy your deck and you can play it, and that's for years. If we compare that to a non-rotating format like Pioneer now, for a guy like me, this is so uninteresting, and
especially with the new bannings now.
Yeah.
But I mean, the bannings now are quite good. I really like the way they solved it, because we haven't had the... I mean, I don't play Pioneer, but if I see it from a Legacy side, if it would have hit something in Legacy, then I certainly would have liked the way they solved it now, and not in the way they had solved it in the past. Because when they say, next week is a banned and restricted announcement and something gets banned in Legacy, and you're sitting here with a deck and wondering, shall I play? Does it make sense for this week, or is it better just to
wait?
Wait, and have a dirty week without any sense in playing? That's not for me. So I like it more the way they did it now. I think both ways have its flaws. I'm not really sure how to address these. But it's...
You mean just announcing the ban immediately?
Yeah, basically the ban now they made in Pioneer, Standard, and Historic Brawl, I think. Yeah. They announced it and they are effective on the same day.
Yeah, that's fine for me. I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, it's also fine for me. No. I actually really like the way they did it in the past times, like where they had, I think, every 3 months a ban and restricted announcement.
And oftentimes you had no changes to any format.
Yeah, I think that was great.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine also for me, of course. But the problem is you're not that flexible if you have distinct time periods where you have the announcements. If you have a critical moment in between 2 announcements, you can't interfere. Or if you interfere, you're deviating from the normal schedule. So I'm not sure if this is the correct term. I think they should always monitor the metagame, and if something has to be banned, then they should do it right away.
Yeah, and I really like the way they did it with the ban and restricted announcement from Modern, where they said Astrolabe is on the Legacy watch list. I think a public viewable watch list from problematic cards would be great.
That's also a nice idea. Yeah. Especially for new players entering new formats. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to say with Pioneer, for example. It almost feels like, I don't know, Standard 2.0. It is basically you have... You're buying a new deck, you're excited to play a non-rotating format, and in a few months later, something gets banned. Then you have to buy a completely new deck, like in Standard. And I think this is just... I don't know. This is just crazy. It's basically like the bannings are initiating a rotation. Yeah. It is basically comparable to Standard, and in that sense, I think it would be better to like you said, for example, have a watch list of cards that Wizards is likely to ban, or they are keeping an
eye on it. Yeah.
An eye on it. Yeah. And also, I would like to see a little bit more flexibility towards unbanning cards.
Oh yeah.
For example, Lurus in Legacy. I think there is no reason for the card to be banned now.
I think so on board with this. Yeah. With the companion nerf.
Rethink some changes they made in the past, and then if they made some new changes that completely invalidated the changes from the past, they should revert it, and nobody would be upset. I think people would like it.
Yeah, actually. I think with the companion nerf, Lurus would be totally playable, but not broken anywhere. Nobody would play Lurus as a companion.
Nobody, not even in Modern.
No, the restrictions for having him as a companion versus the payoff that you get is just a minuscule. Nobody would play it like that. But having access to Lurus in your main board would be great. It would breathe new life in old archetypes. I mean, like that guy Ale with Lurus would be probably not good, but it would certainly be at least semi-viable. Yeah. You can play it, you win maybe an FNM with it.
It's a value card, yeah.
But like the way it is now with that guy Ale is you just get stomped.
Yeah.
Either by combo or by Oko. Oko Uro nonsense. And I think with Lurus and with replaying Mishra's Ball, replaying Dark Confidant and GT or something, you can just get so much value and you don't get totally
outvalued by other things.
Outvalued by other things, yeah.
You can be on par with different power levels of other decks. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, in my opinion, but of course this may not reflect the ideas of wizards. I think the best or the focus of a ban list should be that it is as short as possible,
yeah.
and as big as necessary. I think this is basically the approach that they should make. That means banning every card that needs to be banned and unbanning cards that just are banned for, I don't know, past reasons.
Yeah, even if they don't contribute to the format now.
Yeah,
like I
doesn't
think
matter.
with Mind Twist. Mind Twist should be unbanned, even if it doesn't bring anything to the format as it is right now.
Yeah.
Because nobody would play Mind Twist in a fair way, but who cares?
Yeah,
Actually,
it would be not a really strong deck.
No, I don't think. Some people say, yeah, it wouldn't be a strong deck and it wouldn't be played. Why don't just keep it banned?
Yeah, man.
Because it also doesn't make a reason to keep it banned.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
If we have the mantra of keeping it as short as possible and as big as necessary, then there are certainly things on the ban list that should come off.
And I think if some cards on the ban list would enable, I don't know, tier 3, tier 2 decks to exist, I think this is a great thing, because there are actively people who are actively only playing tier 2, tier 3 decks. Maybe because it's more fun, or maybe they want to explore new, I don't know, deck building ideas or strategies, or if it's just, let's say, to be safe from bannings. If you only play a tier 2 deck, you are basically safe for, let's say, being banned out of the format. Like if you would now play Rug Delver, maybe, or Snowco, since Astrolab is a big discussion. Maybe there's a big, let's say, risk that you will be banned out of the legacy format. And that's the reason why I think, the ban list should be as short as possible to make these builds possible in the first place.
Yeah, and I think we are on a good way to have such fringe or tier 2, tier 3 decks in the meta because of recent
developments
additions.
Additions,
Yeah, because if somebody would have told me 2 years ago that the top 4 most played decks are Rug Delver, Goblins, Ninjas, and Elves.
Yeah, that would be really crazy. I mean, Rug Delver, of course, I think we could all get behind all that, because Rug Delver was at the top in the past, of course.
And I think
there was this era with Mongoose and Stifle.
Yeah, for sure. This is for Canadian Trash, yeah. But in the Death Rat era, it was certainly Grixis.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It was before the Death Rat era.
Yeah, 2012 and Dark Ascension and Innistrad. Yeah. Great deck. The real Canadian threshold
doesn't exist anymore.
Nah, that's but that was a great deck. That was really cool. It was pure tempo.
Yeah.
That was really balancing on Razor's edge to navigate the matchup, and that was real skill. This was so cool. A really, really cool deck. But we
have Goblins, Elves, and Ninjas, of course.
So, with this set, I think you said you are playing Ninjas this Friday Night Magic.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
I have plans to do so. I think this is a really nice... I know it is kind of a hybrid deck between a tempo deck, of course, and a grind machine, actually.
Okay.
It is incredibly...
It has put up some really good numbers.
Yeah. I mean, there are some... On paper, it does look bad, honestly. We have some cards like Ornithopter, Changeling, Outcast. Those are cards that don't seem legacy playable at all. They are just, bad cards. I mean, what impact has a Miser 1/1 or
a 0/2
flyer? I mean, it can block Delver. Okay, wow, amazing.
But you just gained 3 life.
Yeah.
It's almost that healing self is legacy playable.
But they are basically unblockable. Of course, flying is not really unblockable in legacy, but it is close to unblockable against all creature-based decks. Changeling Outcast is unblockable. And the ninjutsu mechanic is actually pretty strong for legacy, since you can't really interact with it.
Yeah.
It is,
it's an activated ability, I think. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as you have an unblocked attacker, you can use your ability, directly get in your creature. I mean, of course, after ninjutsu, they can still cast a removal spell before damage. Since if we have a look at Yuriko, for example, or the Ingenious Infiltrator, they only trigger if they really deal combat damage. However, if they do, the value is just incredible.
Yuriko deals damage equal to the top card of your library?
Yeah,
the CMC, I think?
Yeah, you reveal your top card of your library and put it in your hands, and your opponent loses life equal to the CMC of the card. Think about Force of Will, of course.
That's a lot, yeah.
Quite a big. And of course, what you don't have to, what you don't forget about the mechanic is that it's whenever a ninja. It's not only for this card only. It's also for each other ninja that is attacking at this attack step and dealing damage.
Do you put the card then on the bottom, or
you draw the card?
You draw the card. Okay.
Yeah, it's basically a reverse Dark Confident trigger. You reveal the card, but your opponent loses the life, but you get the card. It's basically
that's great. Yeah.
It's basically an Dark Confident trigger on steroids, basically. Yeah. And also the Ingenious Infiltrator, which says you only draw a card, but it also says whenever a ninja draws a card. So you can combine both cards to draw basically, 5-6 cards if you're lucky. And also the Outcast is a shapeshifter.
So it's also a ninja.
It's also a ninja. And it's also unblockable.
Okay.
So you don't even have to attack with Yuriko. You can just sit back with Yuriko if you don't, if your opponent is having a Tamoglyph or some bigger threat. You can just safely attack with your Outcast through the Tamoglyph, and then you get still the Yuriko trigger.
So you can still dome them for 5 with force.
Yeah.
So you could also brainstorm in response to your Force of Will on top.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a bit of a clock, I think.
Yeah, it's a clock. It's grinding. It's value. It's just amazing, and all that combined with a great suite of interaction. We have black for Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, Days, of course, Force of Will, and the card that basically, had the biggest attention for me was Retrofitter's Foundry. I think, at first glance, the card does seem also quite bad. However, what is really strong about the card is that you can play it for 1 mana. You can tap it and sacrifice a Thopter to create the 4/4. What does it say? A construct token.
Okay, so you get on turn 1 4/4 construct.
So combine it with Ornithopter, of course, or also, of course, the Changeling Outcast, which also counts as a Thopter. So you can, so even if you are flooded with Ornithopters or Changeling Outcast, you can cash them in for
big constructs.
Big constructs, and this is also quite amazing, I think. Of course, this is a value machine on its own. You can create server tokens and turn them into Thopters, and then also create new construct tokens on its own. But of course, it is a little bit slow. all that combined with a stable mana base, you have 6 basics, so Wasteland is no problem. This is a really nice shell.
Only 2 Underground Sea. Okay.
Yeah. Also, let's say relatively cheap for a legacy mana base. The question is, though, what is, let's say, the best build to have this shell? I know you surely want your Ornithopters, your Changeling Outcasts, your Yurikos, and your...
So you're pretty much locked in Demir or in blue-black?
Yeah, that's fixed, yeah. But you can twist the numbers, I think. There are some lists which are playing 3 Yurikos. There are a lot that play 4. Same is true for the Retrofitter Foundry. Then there are also some lists who are splashing green for Oko.
Yeah.
Which would...
Sure.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. For Oko and for Uro.
No, not for Uro.
Okay, not for Uro.
At least not what I've seen.
Wait for it.
Yeah, wait for it, maybe. But yeah, I mean, Uro would be a little bit hard to escape with the 4 mana, I think. Because it's still, let's say, low to the ground deck list. With 3 lands being your, let's say, more or less maximum in play. But yeah, this bug version is a little bit less tempo oriented and a little bit more value oriented. Of course, by having Oko, a little bit of a higher mana curve. Brazen Borrower as another possible tool.
And also Abrupt Decay.
And Abrupt Decay, yeah. Phenomenal removal, of course, in Legacy.
So 1 Bayou, 2 Tropical Island, 2 Underground Sea. Yeah, that's a steeper mana cost.
For concerning the dual lands, yeah. But I think the deck looks really nice, or can perform really, really well if you have those explosive draws. Of course, you can also have the draws where you are in, I don't know, Ornithopter into Outcast into, I don't know, 1 random Brainstorm, and you're drawing a bunch of lands and you're basically doing nothing. It is a little bit synergy driven, so you have to have your ninjutsu cards, or you have to have your, I don't know, Foundry to cash in your Thopters. So it is, also maybe not the best deck for top decking when you're late in the game, but it can have some explosive draws, I think, which I really like about the deck.
Yeah, it's a cool deck.
Yeah.
I personally would play the straight blue-black version.
Yeah, me too.
Because of the really, really stable mana base.
Stable mana base is often underestimated in Legacy.
Yeah, a stable mana base wins you so many games.
Yeah.
It's certainly underestimated, and I get the draw to more colors because you can play more powerful spells because you have access to more colors. But sometimes it's just so, well, I just needed the right land drop or a fetch wrong, and that's game.
That's game, yeah.
It happens so often.
Or I got wastelanded twice out of a sudden, and then I don't have any lands on me anymore.
Yeah.
So the power of basics is just really good in Legacy sometimes. So keep it simple, if you can.
Yeah, so you're going to play this?
Yeah. What are you going to play?
Yeah, that's a really, really hard question. Because I was busy the last weeks brainstorming and brewing because I hadn't had much time to play actually. I wanted to jam some leagues on Modo, but real life got in the way and had so much work to do. So I'm in a fortunate position that in my job I can listen to podcasts. I can make my I can think about decks, make my mind about card decisions, because my work is more labor driven. So I can just work the whole day and think about Magic.
That's really nice, actually. Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, but sometimes very tiring. So at least I had 3 deck ideas last week.
I mean, we have to say that Philipp is basically I would say the brewmaster of your legacy community.
I love
think,
brewing.
Yeah, I think there is not many other people who are that much into brewing like you are. And I also think that, I mean, there are some people, I think, in the legacy community, but you are the guy that always try to make it as competitive as possible.
Yeah, I really love if I have when I have an idea and to make it really good, because Legacy has so many staples, so many good cards that you just have to play. And I think as long as you play good cards, your deck can't be that bad.
Yeah.
Even if the strategy is a little bit off the beaten path, but I also love it when I can port modern decks into Legacy or vintage decks into Legacy.
Into Legacy, okay. But the latter one is a little bit harder.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder, but for example, the Vengevine list that I played
In vintage.
In Legacy, the Rag Vengevine list.
The Rag Vengevine, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's basically a port from vintage. I mean, surely that.
Is it like called Oxwine, right?
Yeah,
Oxwine.
the Oxwine,
what do you call it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a vintage port.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that wasn't my idea actually, but I love it.
You took it and you tuned it.
Yeah.
So,
but it's not now on ice. Yeah. I think I've come to a dead end with the deck, so I took my ideas elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. What do you have for us?
Yeah,
let's give us some. I don't know.
I have a Grixis list, a Rag list, and a Rakdos list.
Okay.
So at first I had an idea. I love Rex and Dreadnought.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Croxa.
Oh yeah, Croxa.
Croxa is just so great.
Both cards are not really played in Legacy, of course.
Yeah,
at least
Dreadnought sometimes, but not really. And
not really, yeah.
Croxa
more in the past.
Is more of a modern card.
Mm.
But yeah, there's the neat interaction of Rex and Dreadnought and Lasav, the 2-mana one from the
Multifarious, yeah.
From
which edition?
Guilds of Ravnica, or was it Ravnica Allegiance? I don't know actually now.
Yeah, the new Ravnica one, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Guilds of Ravnica.
Mm-hmm.
So you can basically can have up to 8 Phyrexian and Dreadnoughts in a deck, because if the Dreadnought dies, you can simply copy it with Lasav.
But how do you? Oh, so you have to play your Dreadnought. It dies.
It dies and then copy it with Lasav and attack.
Okay.
You can do it as soon as turn 3.
So
so you have your.
Is it the only way that you can pitch, or let's say bring your Dreadnought into your graveyard?
No. So you have a typical Delver shell built around with your 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder, 4 Daze, 4 Force of Will, and to protect the whole shell.
Yeah.
And also you've got 4 Stifle for
the
Dreadnoughts, for the trigger.
Dreadnought, yeah.
Which synergizes with the Croxa trigger, so you can also respond to the sacrifice trigger from the Croxa and get your 6/6
immediately.
Immediately on
nice,
turn 3. That for black, red, and blue, it's a little bit of steep mana cost, but it's doable. And usually play the 4 lightning bolts and 4 Thoughtseize to have a little bit more discard.
And general interaction, yeah.
And general interaction, yeah. And also rounding up our threat suit is Dreadheart Arcanist, because you're in red. For sure play an Arcanist.
Yeah.
Just so much value. It's basically a Delver shell without Delver and
but with
Dreadnought.
Huge. And Lasav interaction, yeah.
And Lasav interaction. Yeah, you can do... Lasav lets you do really amazing things, like before combat, copy a Croxa in your graveyard.
Yeah.
Attack with the copied Croxa.
Trigger.
then that the trigger resolve, they discard and lose 3 life, or don't discard and lose 3 life, or discard and don't lose 3 life. That you get value out of it, and then you copy the Dreadnought and hit them for 12 with trampling.
Even all in one attack step. Yeah.
All in one attack step, or just something like you have a Dreadnought and an Entomb, a Dreadhorde Arcanist in your graveyard, and you can copy the Arcanist, attack, flashback a Ponder, find an Entomb, play the Entomb, get your Dreadnought into your graveyard, copy your Dreadnought, hit for 12.
Yeah.
And just so many shenanigans that you can do. It's all packed in this tight Delver shell,
but of course without Delver.
Without Delver, yeah.
We should mention that.
Actually, the list is untested. I played something like that during the Lurus era.
Did you also play Lurus in this deck?
Yeah, as a companion, yeah.
Also now?
No,
okay.
It's banned, so
of course.
I would. If
sorry,
you were modern.
I mix it up with modern, yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually we put the list in the show notes.
Of course, yeah.
You can look at them when the episode is released. One thing I like to talk about this, to say about the sideboard, the off-the-wall Eidolon of the Great Ravel in the sideboard.
An Eidolon, yeah. I mean, even if you are pretty heavily spell-based deck yourself.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, actually, yeah.
It looks kind of odd at first glance, but if you think of it, you put the first item often gets countered or gets killed or removed, and the thing is, you just copy it with Lazav during their
turn.
During their turn, and then just copy something else in your turn and play spells. So only they get the damage. So that's what I call this deck.
Actually, since I'm just having a look at the list. Does this also work with Plague Engineer now?
No, Plague Engineer
does not, right?
Doesn't work with Plague Engineer because it needs to enter. Yeah. That's the only thing.
But this would be also nice.
Yeah, it would be great. But then you could use a true name, but true name also needs to enter, so you don't get the hexproof.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, Troxa and Arcanist and Dreadnought are the 3, I think, best targets I found in this colors.
In these colors, yeah.
The only thing I can imagine would be a bug version with Uro instead of Croxa. But then it would certainly be more mid-range.
More mid-range, yeah. So basically a higher, steeper mana curve and...
Yeah, without lightning bolts, with fatal push, Uro, Oko. But I think it could also work.
Could also work, yeah.
Yeah, I call this deck Grixis Croxanaut. It's untested, so take everything as I have with a grain of salt. It's just an idea. It's just a draft, the first draft, that I maybe bring to FNM on Friday.
We'll keep you updated how the FNM goes then.
Yeah.
But just a question, will you play this on Friday? Or this is a deck that you basically have on your mind but not really testing?
No, probably. I'm fairly sure I play this or the next one.
Okay, yeah. So you're not really decided, but...
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, let's talk about the next deck then, yeah? That you're
the next is Timor deck. So it's Rug as a red, green, and blue. It's also, again, tightly packed in a Delver shell.
Yeah.
Which is just so easy. You just take Delver, Rug Delver.
Brainstorm Ponder for also full days. And
that's always the same.
Yeah.
Also, you have the 2 Oko.
We could also add Lightning Bolt, I think, yeah.
Yeah, Lightning Bolt.
For the Delver shell.
For the Delver shell, yeah. It's always always the same. But this deck is also, again, Delverless. So we have a Delver shell without Delver. And this time, I've seen that Delver always, or the meta in itself, tries to get tall.
Mm-hmm.
And there's almost nothing that goes wide at the moment. There's no Grixis Delver with Pyromancer, or not even Monastery Mentor is widely played. So the only thing that gets really wide is probably Elves. Not even Goblins gets that wide because they get Muxus.
Muxus, yeah.
Which gets really tall. You have a 12 Muxus or something. And I tried to make something new work with a new card from the core set, Magic 21. And that's hard to pronounce. Yeah. It's Yorrael Monvuli Recluse. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, it's a legendary creature, human druid, for 1 and a green. It's a 1/2, and whenever you draw your second card each turn, create the 2/2 green cat creature token. And for 6 mana, until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. Mm-hmm. So the second ability is more the topping.
Yeah.
With this card, and I just go through the list so you have a better understanding. We play 4 Dreadhorde Arcanist, 4 Yorrel Monvuli Recluse, 4 Young Pyromancer, 2 Brazen Borer, 1 Clothis, God of Destiny, 2 Oko, Thief of Crowns, 4 Brainstorm, 4 Lightning Bolt, 4 Ponder, 2 Preordain, 4 Daze, 4 Force of Will, and 1 Sylvan Library. Mm-hmm. So the goal in this deck is basically to flood the board with 2 2s and 1 1s, and flashback spells with Arcanist. So
yeah.
Basically, you want to create at least 2 power during your turn and during your opponent's turn.
Okay, yeah.
So you have, so you can go really, really wide with a lot of tokens.
Yeah.
Sure, it's very susceptible to sweepers. Mm-hmm. But we try to work around this with Clothis, Sylvan Library, and the Brazen Borer and the Okos. Yeah. So you have at least some threats that are not really, that are a little bit sweeper proof.
Also, if you think about Plague Engineer, which is probably one of the top, let's say, sweepers at the moment in Legacy, it is also not that susceptible to Plague Engineer because you're kind of diversifying your creature types.
Even a Plague Engineer on human
doesn't kill all that much.
Yeah, it kills just Young Pyromancer because Yorrel is 1/2.
Is it 1/2?
So Yorrel still makes the 2/2 cat. If they put Plague Engineer on cat, you still get your 1/1s and your 1/1 elementals.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad for -1/-1 effects.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Dead of Winter is played now. I have seen some snow lists, but it's not really.
I think there's not really a staple, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I need to work a little bit on the mana base. And the sideboard actually is also work in progress.
Basically, go to.
Yeah, it's a go-to Delver-like sideboard with Pyroblast, Spellpierce, Surgical Extraction, Veil of Summer, Force of Negation, another Clothis, and the only 2 spicy cards are one of Ettergast for opposing Clothis or opposing Okos.
Yeah.
So if they fetch, you just put them on top and they shuffle it in the library. And what I really like are the 2 Wilt in the sideboard. I think that's actually the best naturalize effect ever printed because it's cycling.
Yeah.
So if you don't need it, just cycle it away and you get a card. And in this deck,
it triggers Yorrel.
It triggers Yorrel at least. So
nice.
So you can do something. And with the second ability from Yorel, you could even flashback it with Dreadheart Arcanist. So.
Yeah, I see, yeah, but it's really unlikely.
It's unlikely, but it could happen.
It could basically happen. Okay.
And so I probably play the Rug Yorel or the Crixus Cruxanaut list this Friday.
Okay.
I'm not sure which way to go now, but at the moment I trend more to the Rug list because I'm known as the graveyard guy in our community, and this deck has basically, besides Dreadheart Arcanist, no graveyard interaction, so
quite surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next one is more traditionally my jam. It's something.
That's what I want to stress, is what I'm basically also very excited about. But yeah, you can explain what the deck is about.
It's something of a pet project of mine. It's making Arclight Phoenix work without blue.
Without blue, yeah?
Yeah, because there were always the Arclight Phoenix Bird Alive combo decks in Legacy.
Mostly Grixis.
Which are mostly Grixis. But Bird Alive has the problem of being either really good or really bad. So the first Bird Alive is usually your best one. It puts 3 Phoenix into a graveyard, probably reanimates them, and you go to town for 9. Or you draw your second Bird Alive, or a Bird Alive after you got surgicaled and your Phoenixes are gone, and it's just a dead draw.
The dead draw, yeah.
So I went through 3 to 4 iterations of this deck, and now I'm at this list in the show notes. It's basically a Phoenix built in a test shell.
Yeah.
Or in a storm shell.
Basically storm, yeah.
So I don't know if it's Tessa. It plays Rite of Flame, so.
Yeah, it's more test than
it's more test than Ant.
Yeah.
But it's somewhere in between, actually.
That's what I'm basically excited about.
So going through the list, we play 4 Arclight Phoenix, 4 Dark Ritual, 3 Duress, 4 Faithless Looting, 4 Rite of Flame, 3 Thoughtseize, 4 Burning Wish, 4 Infernal Tutor, 4 Manamorphose, 1 Buried Alive, 4 Lion's Diamond, 4 Lotus Petal, 17 lands, 3 Arid Mesa, 4 Badlands, 4 Bloodstained Mire, 3 Marsh Flats, 1 Mountain, 2 Swamp. And in the sideboard we have a really huge wish board.
Yeah.
And just some graveyard hate and some storm hate here and there.
Yeah, it's similar to Testen, basically.
Yeah.
Which also
so the wish board is 1 by Force, 1 Thoughtseize, 1 Mayan Misery, 1 Buried Alive to wish for, 1 Toxic Deluge, 1 Empty the Warrens, 1 Tendrils of Agony, and a Singleton Reanimate. Then you got 3 Surgical Extractions, 2 Abrade, and 2 Mindbreak Trap. So you basically have everything covered. The goal of this deck is to either reanimate 3 to 4 Arclight Phoenix as fast as turn 1, and to hope that they are enough.
Yeah.
A lot of decks can't handle 3 turn 1 Phoenix because they're simply too fast. Or the other way of attacking your opponent is during a simple storm kill with Empty Warrants or with Tendrils of Agony.
Yeah, and what I think, what is really amazing about this list is you kind of, if you have enough mana and cards, you can combine both effects.
Yeah, you can. I actually had this happen.
Yeah.
I comboed off, drew from a Faithless Looting. I had one Phoenix in hand, played a favor looting just for storm count.
Yeah.
I had 2 lands to discard actually, but I drew another Arclight Phoenix, discarded the Arclight Phoenix. I made this turn, I think 16 goblins and attacked force with 2 Arclight Phoenix in the air. So
that's amazing, yeah.
Anything but a simple sweeper is probably enough, yeah, for sure. But
you can also basically combine it with, let's say, a natural tendril skill. If you have, I don't know, some phoenixes in your graveyard and you're storming off, and even if it's just 1 or 2 phoenixes, it's basically shaving off 3 needed storm counters that you need to kill your opponent. You can basically naturally storm for 7 storm, and then the last 3 storms are basically covered for 2 random phoenixes in your graveyard that are attacking for 6 life, or 6 damage. So that's quite cool.
And also, if you have enough mana, you can also make the traditional tutor chain.
Yeah.
I often do Infernal Tutor into Burning Wish into Empty Warrens. It needs a lot of mana, but it makes a huge storm count, so it works. And for the hands that don't really do much, you really need just land late, and so you need ritual, tutor, and late to make turn 1 free Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really big upgrade, because I also had the problem with the Grixis lists, or with the more mid-rangey lists, that you were always a spell too short.
Yeah. To reanimate your
Phoenix, because Dark Ritual into Buried Alive is 2 spells, and you have only 1 land drop, so you probably can make 2 Dark Ritual, but then you're throwing away resources.
Yeah.
And that's most of the time losing position to be in. So by shaving the Buried Alive to the absolute minimum with 1 main and 1 side, you make room for good cards like 8 tutors, for wishes and for tutors, and the rest is mana.
Yeah. And you still have your, let's say, virtual 5 copies of Buried Alive through Infernal Tutor. Or, of course, with Burning Wish, even more. It's more. 10. It's 10 copies.
It's 10 copies of Buried Alive.
Oh, 9 copies, actually. It's 9.
9, yeah. 9 copies.
Yeah. 9 virtual ones.
And you can still just play, if you flood out your Arclight Phoenixes for 4 mana. That also happens sometimes, and wins randomly games. So
yeah,
if your opponent goes turn 1 Deafening Silence, which is probably the hardest counter to this deck, I'm not sure how we can really beat this. The best play is hope to draw your Phoenix, hardcast your Phoenix, and go to town.
Yeah,
and maybe Burning Wish into Mire of Misery, and kill the Deafening Silence over 2 turns.
That's one problem of the deck for sure.
Yeah, sure. It could be solved by branching out into another color.
Yeah,
but the only color that would be worth branching out is blue for the cantrips.
Brainstorm, Ponder.
And then I'm not sure if.
I mean, you got Echoing Truth or Chain of Reaper for the bounce.
Yeah, but then I'm not sure
counts.
if a different deck wouldn't suit it better.
Yeah, of course. This is then you're basically trying to do too much for what the shell is here for, I think, but I'm not sure. I quickly had the idea or a thought about what if you actually would splash blue, maybe cut the Faithless Looting, cut 1 Phoenix, and just have 1 Buried Alive and 3 Phoenix. That is basically your only Phoenix packages. So or the idea would be to only have your phoenixes through Buried Alive, and the rest is a complete normal Grixis storm shell. But I'm not sure if this would be a good idea.
And the problem with the phoenix, if you cut one, is always if you draw it.
Yeah, if you draw it, exactly.
Then your Buried Alive gets so much worse.
Yeah, and you don't have a way to discard it if you cut Faithless
If you cut looting, yeah, sure, you could put Brainstorm in.
Yeah.
But then you need an extra step to put your Arcade Phoenix from your hand into your deck again. And you don't want to Buried Alive just for 2 Phoenix. It's not enough. And with this build, I was often able to make 4 Phoenixes turn 2.
Yeah.
And that's actually great. The only thing in the side, that's to the sideboard. There's one thing I would like to bring in, and that's probably either a Chain Lightning or a Grape Shot. I'm not sure which would be better. Sometimes it's just you get your opponent down to 2.
Yeah, I think.
And then they find the sweeper.
I think the question you have to ask yourself is, what is more common that you have, let's say, a problem of, or let's say, are more often the life totals of your opponents just missing out a few couple damage? Then I think Chain Lightning would be better. Or are you often short on mana to cast your big tendrils out of your sideboards? Then maybe a smaller Grape Shot would be enough if you have enough Storm all the time.
Okay.
So the question is, do you have enough Storm, or are you basically always a few damage short?
Okay, then it's for sure the Chain Lightning.
Yeah, and depending on what the answer is, then you could add the Chain Lightning, or so if you have always enough Storm, but lacking a little bit of mana, then maybe Grape Shot would be a nice option. And if you see yourself that you are missing out 2 or 3 damage in a lot of games, then maybe Chain Lightning would be a good idea.
What I want to address is the one of Reanimate here in the sideboard. It also seems odd, but it's just great if you have an Reanimator opponent. And sometimes Reanimator, even if it's very, very consistent and fast, sometimes you just have the Faithless Looting, draw, discard a Fatty, and go.
Yeah.
And in these situations, you can just Ritual Burning Wish, get your reanimate your Grizzlebrand, and have your own Fatty. And they never see it coming. Also, the sideboard is built in a way that most of the things are castable with mana from Lion's Eye Diamond. So you have your Buried Alive that's castable for free mana.
Yeah.
Also, the By Force is castable for 2 to 3 mana.
Yeah.
And one of the recent additions is the Toxic Deluge, which I play over Massacre or other sweeper. At first I thought about Angel of the Gods, but that exiles my own Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's something I don't want. So, and then I came across, I forgot about Toxic Deluge. And if I go Ritual Wish Deluge, and then I can kill the whole board. And get back all my Phoenixes.
Yeah.
So, that was my thought process behind that.
I think this is a really nice list. And I like the approach, actually. I originally had the impression that I'm not sure, I was not sure if the Phoenix plan and the Storm plan would fit all that well together. Sometimes the deck has a problem of you want too much for what you can do in a deck, or let's say you can do many different things, but executing them is not as good as just focusing on one specific strategy. But by having only this minor Phoenix Splash and being, let's say, a test deck.
It's predominantly a storm deck, yeah.
Yeah. I think it could work, actually. Of course, I think one big flaw to this deck might be consistency. You're lacking your ponders and brainstorms, which is still arguably a big loss for a storm deck.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's true. That's simply true. But I tried to avoid these brainstorm ponder preordained piles.
Yeah.
Because for me they are often, like we had before with the Grixis and the rug list, they build themselves.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And sometimes I want a little bit more of an now
a mix up. What do you mean?
A challenge.
A challenge.
Something more of a challenge to get something like this really going.
Okay.
And I think even if this list needs some fine tuning, I think I'm very, very happy with the results so far.
Yeah.
And I'm more than sure willing to put this through a league or two, or even a challenge. So maybe you will see this in the challenge.
It would be nice if we get published with.
I'll do my best. I try. Just have to have a little bit time for this because I think it's 7 rounds. The challenge. So 7 rounds on a Saturday is hard.
That's of course true. But you said this is not the deck you want to play at FNM.
No, not at the moment because it's so fast and so good to. So it's perfect to fine tune in Magic Online.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of reps in, and I try to play it more online. And the other 2 decks are more fun for FNM level. Higher impact. Cards on a card per card basis.
Yeah.
So I think the other decks, even if they're not so tuned or the numbers are off or the mana base is off, do better in a paper event.
Of course, yeah.
Than they would do online.
Yeah. And speaking of FNM, of course, how is our community in our league in Austria? I think some people would be interested to see the situation we have here concerning, since Corona is still a thing and FNM might not be, for everyone in different countries. But how do we have it here in Austria for our league?
Yeah, so for our league, we still have a summer break. And we're still in a really big makeover from our league. But the normal Friday Night Magics are still firing. And
basically undisrupted, I would say, even.
Yeah, we had 2 to 3 months. I think we didn't have an FNM.
Yeah, but right now it's basically like before.
Yeah,
more
because we have almost not really many COVID
cases.
Yeah, I think we have 60
I'm
here.
Not sure, yeah.
I think we have 60. That's in a city with about 200,000 people.
Yeah.
So I know for people in the US, 200,000 people is more of a village or a little town. But
of course.
in our country, it's actually one of the biggest cities.
Yeah.
So I think the 3rd biggest city, you have Vienna, Graz, and then Linz, I think.
I'm not sure, actually.
I think.
But sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, so really not that many COVID cases. We surely have our protection. We wear our masks, which should be self-explanatory, actually. So wear your masks.
Always wear your mask, yeah. in your public places.
And then maybe you also will be able to play paper as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So FNMs fire on a weekly basis. We are about 15 to 20 people.
Still a good number, I think.
Yeah,
At least for our community. What was our record actually?
Our records were 26.
26 for.
But that's for a weekly. So if there are high stakes involved, then I think the most people were about 38 or something at an open.
Oh yeah, okay.
But it was 2 years ago, so.
But I think compared to other communities in Europe or let's say it's our area, it is still pretty impressive that we consistently get our 15 to 20 people at FNM.
Out of a pool of 60 people.
Yeah.
So.
And this is what is great about our league.
Our community in general.
And community, yeah.
Because I always like to say that we have the biggest legacy community in Austria. And I think that's right. I think
You mean in Europe?
In Austria, no. In Europe, not.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not sure.
You mean in Linz we have the biggest?
Yeah, in Linz we have the biggest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of all communities in Austria.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. I don't think any other city or any other community has so many different people playing legacy.
I think I would agree. Yeah.
And not even in Vienna, which is our capital city.
Yeah.
And I think they average about 10 people on their weekly legacy tournament. So we are certainly a little step further ahead.
And speaking of that, we have some interesting changes that we might want to share at this point.
Yeah,
concerning our league.
Yeah, as our listeners know, who are with us since the first episode.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. We have now a legacy league going for about, I think, 3 to 4 years now.
Yeah.
And last winter we decided we want to be more visible, more international, and we are pretty well known in Austria, but we are not known across the borders of Europe or even in the US. So there will be huge news to come, and you will probably hear a lot more in the next episode. So stay tuned definitely for this. And we have really, really great news and really big plans for the future with our league and with Legacy in Austria. And so we make a little transition now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Double Masters.
Yeah, we can briefly talk about this as a final topic, I would suggest.
Yeah, that's our final topic for today. But it's really important now because the set is just bonkers.
Yeah, it's a great set.
So many reprints. If you need something for Legacy, if you just tip your toe into this format or always wanted to transition from another format, from Commander or Modern into Legacy, certainly now is the time. You get a lot of staples for cheap. You have
hopefully cheap, but yeah, they should be very cheap.
Cheaper than now.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, do you have a list which cards you will buy with the?
I have some cards. The list is actually not that long, actually, but I have 2 specific cards that I want to buy. And the first one is Mox Hopper. I think since the banning of Modern, the price of the card did not really change. I'm not sure. I mean, I think it was about 60 euros at its highest point, and it dipped to around 40 euros. But I think it's a strong card, but it is basically only be played in TES in Legacy, actually.
And Urza Echo, I think.
Yeah, in Legacy, yeah.
Yeah, in Legacy, yeah.
And I don't think that justifies a price of 40 euros or something.
No, for sure not. Also, it's not really played in Commander, so...
No, yeah.
It's not a Commander card, no.
I mean, it's a powerful card, of course. But I'm hoping that this the price of the card will drop to, I don't know, 20 to 30 euros.
I looked it up today. It's, I think, about 26 now.
Yeah.
The Double Masters version.
Yeah.
Maybe, but the set isn't
released yet.
So
maybe it will
when people open it and draft it, and
it maybe will get cheaper.
It certainly will get cheaper. I think it will get into the 20 euro range.
Yeah. And I would be very happy to pick up a couple copies of the card to finally finalize my test deck that I wanted to play for quite a long time in Legacy. As I'm quite a Storm aficionado, I always played Ant, but of course Ant is not the best version of Storm, I think, at the moment. Yeah, Tess looks just better, but for me, Moxopol was always the card that kept me from playing Tess. So I'm looking forward for that. And of course, the big second card is just Goblin Guide.
Goblin Guide.
We should mention that we are a community that are always present at the MKM series.
At least we try to.
And one big must go to is, of course, Prague. And we shall see you there by burning out your faces then, at least in a trial.
Oh, yeah.
So prepare your, I don't know.
Okay, so these are the two cards you want to get?
Yeah, I need them.
That's for sure. I've got my Goblin Guide.
So you're ready to go to Prague?
I'm ready to go to Prague next year. I love it. I have a little bit longer list.
Yeah.
Because I want to get some playsets done. The most important things for me are the Noble Hierarchs.
Yeah, they're so cheap now. It's
incredible.
Yeah,
they're so cheap, and I need them. They are the only expensive, quote unquote, things that I need for Maverick.
Okay. Yeah.
I have everything else.
Really?
Besides the Chaos Cradle, but you
don't
really need the Chaos Cradle.
Yeah.
It's great to have.
I think most builds play one of.
One of.
Yeah. But I think you could.
But it's one Chaos Cradle versus 4 Nobles, and you certainly need 4 Nobles more than the one of Chaos Cradle.
You could get behind without.
You certainly can't play the deck without Nobles.
Yeah.
Another one is my 4th Blood Moon that I need.
Okay, yeah.
Also, I need 3 Death Shadows, probably. And also Exploration would be great. I'm not sure how expensive they are now.
I think it's still between, I don't know, 10 or 15.
Okay, that's totally reasonable and totally great, actually.
Yeah, maybe it will be below 10 after the set will come out, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so this is what I'm going to get. Also 1 to 2 Toxic Deluge, because I think they went for 10 to 15 euros.
Yeah.
That was always a little bit too much for me. I never thought they were
that
the price tag was justified, so I'm really excited for this. The next thing, my list is really a little bit longer. Yeah, for Invigorate, because maybe I will play
Infect action, yeah.
And I think that was for the for the colored cards. Then I need 4 meddling mages.
Oh yeah.
For Espovile, because the deck is so great. That's so cool value machine.
I'll have to add Medding Mage to my list as well. Yeah, I need the card as well. Yeah, I forgot about it.
And also 4 Balefruit Strix. That's also a card that was always.
I think 2 to 3 euros. I think it was not that.
It was not
maybe
really expensive,
3 or 5. I'm not sure.
But each euro that you
can save, yeah.
that you can save, can you put into other cards? So you get more bang for your buck. Then just a Sword of Light and Shadow and a Sword of Feast and Famine to round up my swords for Death and Taxes. Also, I need Chrome Moxes. I only have 2. Also, I want the Mox Opals. funny side note here. I've won the this year or last year? This year.
Last year, I think.
When did Mox Opal get banned? I think this year. I'm not sure now.
Wow. What?
Okay, it's it doesn't matter when, but
you can look it up.
When
but what did you win?
I think the open here with Mardu Pyromancer, yeah.
Was it it was Legacy.
It was Legacy, yeah, for sure. And I won the Mox Opal. It was a Friday, so I won the Mox Opal as the prize.
It was January, yeah.
Yeah, it was January. I won the Mox Opal as a prize, and 2 days later it got banned. So I didn't sell it. No,
but it still retains some value. So
no, it's totally okay.
It's fine,
I mean, it dropped down to 20 to 25, I think.
Really?
For 2 to 3
I
days.
should have bought them at this time.
Yeah, I also thought about buying in, but I thought it would crash even lower. But it didn't. So
it even rose back up to 40.
Yeah, so I have to buy them now. And I think that was it. I'm not sure if I need anything else. Maybe Trinisphere 1 or 2, or some explosives. Maybe, yeah. But they're really cheap now, and rounding up my Walking Ballista playset. But yeah, this set is simply so great. It has so much value.
Really happy for that set to be.
But I will just maybe I crack open 1 or 2 boosters just for the feeling, because sometimes I like to just throw money into the bin. Because for me, opening boosters is always just losing money.
Yeah.
But this time, because the set is so stoked, I will probably get 1 or 2 just for the experience, and the rest will certainly be singles. So if you wanna try out Legacy, or want to make the transition from another format, now is the time. Get your staples. A great.
Start brewing also.
Yeah, for sure. Start brewing, and we'll see you next time.
Yes. Should we mention how we can find ourselves?
Yeah, you can find our show on Twitter mostly. So our Twitter handle is @response_legacy, and you can find me on Twitter @PhinekMTG, PHINEKMTG. And Daniel?
Yes, you can find me at my website, of course, greatness@danicost.com, or on Twitter @FlyingDelver.
And if you can also email the show directly.
Yes.
The email address is in-response@gmx.at.
Yes.
So if you have any questions or any topics you want to discuss, just email us directly or DM us on Twitter.
Yeah, also just general feedback.
And general feedback is also very appreciated. Yeah, we needed to
improve our show.
Yeah, to be better podcasters. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed the show. It was certainly longer than we thought.
Yeah, I thought it would be shorter, but yeah. Even without Peter this time. But next time it will be again here with us. Next
time we will have a special guest again.
Yeah.
And we
will announce that in a later time, I think.
Yeah. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
And bye.
In response, the end.